There's a story nobody is telling you about today's soccer match in Seattle, and it starts with a pregnant woman standing at a gate in a New York airport, being told she cannot board her flight. She had come to America on vacation. She was supposed to go home, but the airline looked at how far along she was and said no, she was too close to her due date. She wasn't getting on that plane, so she stayed. And a few weeks later, in a Brooklyn hospital, a boy was born. A boy who would grow up in London, train at Arsenal, play for England's youth teams, and then 24 years later, walk out onto a soccer field in Los Angeles wearing a red, white, and blue shirt and score twice in his first ever World Cup match. His name is Folarin Balogun, and he is only American because an airline once refused to let his mother fly home. Think about that for a second. One gate agent, one policy, and the entire trajectory of American soccer changed forever. But here's what nobody talks about. Today's match in Seattle isn't just about Balogun. It's about something bigger, something that this entire USA team represents. And it's about an Australian team that refuses to behave like it has any idea who it's supposed to be afraid of. Stay with me, because what happened before this match, the stories behind these players, that's what makes today feel different from any soccer game you've watched before. 14 years old. That's how old Nestori Irankunda was when people started calling him the future of Australian soccer. He was born in a refugee camp in Tanzania to Burundian parents. He came to Australia as an infant, grew up in Adelaide, and by his teens, he had already signed with Adelaide United's academy. By 19, Bayern Munich came calling. Bayern Munich, one of the most storied clubs on the planet, signed a kid from a Tanzanian refugee camp who had grown up kicking a ball around in South Australia. He left Bayern, not because he wasn't good enough, because he wanted to play. He wanted minutes. He wanted to be ready for the 2026 World Cup. So he dropped down to Watford in the English Championship, a team nobody talks about, because his biggest goal was not a club trophy. It was this, today, Seattle. And in Australia's first match of this World Cup against Turkey, a team that had 72% of the ball, 30 shots, and the squad full of players from major European clubs, Irankunda scored. He sprinted from the left wing, cut inside, and put the ball in the net. Australia won 2-0. He is now the youngest Australian player ever to score at a World Cup. But here's where it gets strange. The goalkeeper behind him, the goalkeeper who made 8 saves that night, who kept that clean sheet, who turned away shot after shot while Turkey threw everything at Australia, that goalkeeper had only played 2 international matches before that night, ever. Patrick Beach is 22 years old. He plays for Melbourne City in the Australian League. 7 months ago, he had 0 senior international caps. Coach Tony Popovic pulled him aside a couple of days before the Turkey match and told him he was starting, ahead of Matthew Ryan, the team captain, and the 3-time World Cup veteran. Beach's father, Mark, was in the stand. He told reporters afterward, "We know what qualities he has. This is no surprise to us. 8 saves, clean sheet. One of the best goalkeeper debuts in World Cup history. And now he has to stop Folarin Balogun." The stadium where today's match is being played is called Lumen Field. It sits in the middle of Seattle, Washington, a city that has loved soccer long before the rest of America caught on. The Seattle Sounders have won 2 MLS Cups. Their fans are loud in a way that most American sports crowds are not. 70,000 people will be inside that stadium today. And one of the players on the USA roster knows the city more than almost anyone. Cristian Roldan was not supposed to be American. His father, Cesar, is from Guatemala. His mother, Ana, is from El Salvador. They fled civil wars in the 1980s and came to Los Angeles with nothing. His mother worked as a seamstress during the day and at a fast food chain at night. His father built a makeshift goal out of PVC pipes in the backyard. Cristian and his 2 brothers kicked the ball around in that yard before the house was even finished being built. He was eligible to play for Guatemala. He was eligible to play for El Salvador. His younger brother, Alex, his own teammate at the Seattle Sounders, actually does captain El Salvador. The 2 brothers played against each other in World Cup qualifying. Their mother was in the stands watching both of her sons in different jerseys. Cristian chose the United States. He said, "I wanted to give back to the United States for everything they gave our family." Today, he will play a World Cup match in Seattle, the city where he has spent his entire professional career, the city where his club plays, playing for the country his parents chose when they had nothing. Here's the part that changes everything. This USA squad is full of stories like this. Balogun, born American by accident. Roldan, choosing America over the countries of his blood. Weston McKennie, raised on American military bases across the world. Gio Reyna, son of a player who once wore the same shirt. This is not a team that was assembled. This is a team that was lived into existence, player by player, story by story, sacrifice by sacrifice. And across the Eel today stands an Australian team with its own version of exactly the same story. Before their match against Turkey, Turkey, the Australian team released a video. Every player on the squad said where they were born, one by one. Tanzania, Guinea, South Korea, England, Scotland, different countries, different continents, different languages. And then each of them said the same final line: no matter where you come from, football is for everyone. That's the team that is walking into a stadium of 70,000 Americans today. Not afraid, not pretending to be just happy to be here. They beat Turkey without the ball. They had 28% of possession. They defended deep, stayed compact, and the moment Turkey left the smallest gap, they were through it. Irankunda, goal. Mecca, goal. 2-0. The blueprint is set. Australia will defend. They will frustrate the hosts. They will play for the counter. And Patrick Beach, the 22-year-old who was watching World Cup matches on television 3 years ago, will try to stop every single thing that Balogun, Pulisic, and Reina send at him. Here's what nobody tells you about moments like this one. The crowd thinks the match is about soccer. The pundits think it's about tactics, possession percentages, expected goal, defensive line. But it's not. It's about a mother who couldn't board a plane. It's about a boy from a refugee camp who left Bayern Munich to make sure he'd be ready for today. It's about a kid who grew up playing on a backyard pitch made of PVC pipes and is now walking out in front of 70,000 people in the city where he built his life. Every player on that field today carries a story that sounds impossible until you hear it, and then it sounds inevitable. That's what soccer does. Not to the players, to the people watching. It takes human beings from every corner of the planet, puts them on a rectangle of grass, and asks one question: how far are you willing to go? Tonight, in Seattle, we find out. What story from today's match hit you the hardest? Balogun, Irankunda, or Roldan? Let me know in the comments.